Hi, my name is Dusty Bowling, and I'm so glad I could be here today to talk to you all about my new novel in verse, The Canyon's Edge, and how you can use it in your classrooms to hopefully encourage an interest in poetry in your students. The Canyon's Edge is about a young girl named Nora who is hiking with her father in the middle of the Sonoran Desert in this deep, narrow slot canyon when a flash flood tears through the canyon and sweeps her father and all of their supplies away. And Nora has to traverse this canyon all on her own and find her father and save both of their lives while also dealing with this beast that is stalking her on her journey. So there's a lot of metaphor in the book. The book is basically is one big extended metaphor and symbolism that you can talk about with your students, but I'm going to also talk about some other techniques and things that I used in the book. But first I would like to start by reading one of the poems from the story. And this one is called Before and After. I sit and think and breathe and twist one long strand of hair around my finger. I hold the strand in front of my face and stare at the clear line of my before and after hair, where my life broke into two parts, so easily identifiable, like a ring in a tree, thinner than the rest, indicating a drought occurred that year in the high desert, forcing the people to move on to another place. A park ranger taught us that at Montezuma Castle when the three of us used to adventure. The foot of hair from the tip is my before hair. It's streaked with gold, red, brown, and blonde, as though it's reflecting the colors of the canyon, vivid and shining and alive, grown during a time of safety, love, and adventure. My before hair is hair my mother would have touched when she was asking me about my school day or telling me a new story idea. My before hair is hair Danielle would have braided into a fishtail while we watched movies in the middle of the night, hair she would have rubbed lemon into before we lay out by the pool together. My before hair is hair that would have been regularly washed, brushed, and styled. The 6 inches of hair from the root is my after hair. My after hair is irregularly washed, brushed, and never styled except to be put up in a ponytail. My after hair is only one shade, having been kept in the dark, unchanged by desert days filled with chlorine and sun and adventure. My after hair has never been touched by Mom or Danielle. How can I do this? How can I make it through the canyon with all of this before and after in my face the entire way? And so the canyon is basically an extended metaphor for the healing process after trauma, and it has to do with something that Nora went through 1 year prior to the story. So, but I have several different kinds of poems in the book that I think kids might have fun with, recreating, making their own after reading the story or while reading the story. One thing I use throughout the book is several haiku. There's many haiku throughout the book. For example, this one is called Heart. And it says, I've never realized how fast, loud, painful a heart is able to beat. So obviously really short because it's a haiku, but I think haiku is a good way to get children interested because it's just short little bite-sized pieces of poetry basically, and they can do it about anything they want. And on Read, Write, Think, there is a haiku starter worksheet, and they choose a topic on the worksheet. And I always encourage kids to read whatever they love, whatever that is, read about their interests in whatever format that they like, so they can write about anything, of course. So I'd like them to choose a topic that they're really interested in, whether that be soccer or maybe it's even Minecraft or whatever. And then they brainstorm a bunch of words related to their topic and the number of syllables. And then they can sort of piece it together on the back in their own haiku. So that's something you can use, and that is on Read, Write, Think. That worksheet you can print out for your students. Another type of poem that I use in the book is an acrostic poem, and I got the idea to incorporate acrostic poems into this story because while I was writing it, I was reading a lot of books in verse, and because I was learning a lot myself, I'm always learning a lot myself about how to be a better writer, of course. And I read one in a book that I will share with you in a second that was really beautiful, and it inspired me to create my own acrostic poems. So this is one. It's called Lie, and you can see there's the word. And all the acrostic poems in my book are about the beast that Nora is battling in the story. And this one says, the beast only exists in my dreams. Really, he's just make-believe, everything about him non-existent. The beast isn't rational or real. And they make up, the poem makes up the word tormentor. And so even though Nora is saying one thing, which isn't exactly true, the truth is there in the poem, in the words, within the lie, basically. And so that was my intent. So they can do all kinds of fun things with acrostic poems, of course, but I wanted to share with you the poem that inspired me to write my own acrostic poems, and that was in this book, This Promise of Change, another novel in verse, one of my favorites, and it's a really beautiful story. I encourage you to add it to your classrooms. And this one is called Do the Math. Math is not my best or favorite subject, but this arithmetic is elementary. 600 soldiers plus 100 jeeps and trucks plus 7 combat tanks plus 3 armored personnel carriers plus 1 helicopter equals. Please let the troops bring Clinton back from the edge of the cliff. All we want is to go to our school without the cyclone of ugliness, without fear, without hate, with ease. And in that last part, it spells the word peace. And so I thought that was really beautiful. I'm frequently inspired by other books. And also on Read, Write, Think, there is an interactive program by grade level for students to create their own acrostic poems. And then one more thing I want to talk about is that I think some kids can be a little bit intimidated by, or maybe they don't want to work with poetry because they feel like they have to follow all these rules and structures and all this stuff. But the wonderful thing about free verse poetry is that you can write whatever you want, play with the language however you want, break the lines however you want. There's really no doing it wrong. And so I had a lot of fun writing this book, even though I haven't written a lot of poetry in my life, just because of playing with the language and the structure. So not only can you, of course, play with the words and language however you want, but even the shape of the lines can be fun for kids, I think, to write poems and shape them in a meaningful way that has to do with their poem. For example, this poem is called One Raging River, and it says, I badly need to know why right now, but no one is here to tell me why, so I imagine it for myself. I remember those dark mountains to the west. I picture rain running down the sides of the mountains in hundreds of small streams, which become tens of brooks, which become a few creeks, which become one raging river and a previously dry riverbed that gradually deepens into a narrow slot canyon. One raging river that washes my father away. So when I was thinking about the words in this poem, I was thinking about the water funneling down from the mountains into the washes and into this slot canyon. And also you can play with not only the shape of the lines and all of that, but you can even, if you're writing by hand or whatever it is that you're doing, you can play with the words. And this can be fun to read in books too that do this. For example, in this one, To Claus, my main character is really panicking and her thoughts are scattered, and so the words are kind of scattered across the page to indicate that. But even the shape of the words, you can see here, it says, then another burst of lightning and I see 2 claws curving over the edge, and the words sort of like curve like that. And here's another novel in verse that I love. That does a similar thing, Forget Me Not by Ellie Terry. And in this, she says, I nod, my ticks. As soon as I say the word, they leap out of me. And so she's got her letters sort of like leaping. And this is another book that I think kids really enjoy. And it's half prose, half verse. So it's good for everyone. And then okay, I just wanted to leave you with some other books and verse that I love. Inside Out and Back Again is one of my favorites. The Red Pencil, Other Words for Home, and House Arrest are some of my favorites that you could hopefully add to your classrooms and use with your students. And I hope I just gave you a few fun activities to do with them. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.